Students, now we will do exercise 8C, question number 9. A square minus b square minus 3 square bracket a square minus braces b square minus a square plus parenthesis a square minus b square minus a square and parenthesis braces and curly square bracket closed. In the next step, we will observe what we have done. 2a square. We are multiplying 2 with a square. And when we multiply 2 with a square, it will give us 2a square. Why we are multiplying? Because you can see this is parenthesis and it means multiplication. Negative sign as it is. We will not change negative sign into positive sign because outside is there is no sign outside. You can see there is no sign outside. It means it is naturally positive sign. When there is positive sign outside, we don't change the signs inside the parenthesis. Okay, when there is a negative sign outside the parenthesis, we change the sign. When we remove the parenthesis, we change the sign. But as there is no negative sign, so this negative sign will remain negative sign. We will not change the negative into positive when we will remove the parenthesis. Because there is positive sign, you can see there is no sign. It means it's positive. Negative sign will remain negative. I think this much explanation is enough. Now negative 3 is as it is, square bracket a square minus braces b square minus a square plus. Up till this plus, everything is as it is. Okay. Now this is parenthesis and you can see inside the parenthesis I written minus b square. It means we have solved the parenthesis and inside the parenthesis you can see a square minus b square minus a square. When we will solve it, it will give us negative b square. Let's see how. Okay, a square means that a positive 1a square. Okay, and negative a square means a negative 1a square. Now positive 1a square means that positive a square 1 times and negative a square means that negative sign 1 time. Positive into negative will cancel each other, so a square will finish. Okay, and only b square is left, so we will write negative b square is left, so negative b square is, this is negative b square. And we will keep it inside the parenthesis. We will not remove the parenthesis because of this negative sign. Because of this negative sign, we are not removing the parenthesis. Now let's see what is happening in the second step. 2a square as it is, negative 2b square as it is, negative 3 square bracket a square, negative braces b square, negative a square. Up till this, everything is as it is. We copied down from the above step. What we have done, look, there are parentheses in the first step. In the second step, there are no parentheses. It means we have removed the parentheses. And when we will remove the parentheses, this parenthesis means multiplication. This this is negative sign and outside is the positive sign. We will, this negative sign will remain negative sign. Because of this positive sign outside the parenthesis, we will not change the negative sign inside the this negative b square will remain negative b square. In other words, I will explain you like this that positive multiplied by negative will gives us a negative sign. And now we will remove the parenthesis in this second step. I think this much explanation is enough. I hope you can understand it. Now the next step is 2a square minus 2b square minus 3 a square and minus. Up till this, we are copying down all the terms from the above step. Nothing is changed. Now changing is here that we have solved it. Okay, b square negative a square negative b square. When we will solve these terms inside the braces, it will gives us negative a square, and we will keep negative a square inside the braces. We will not remove the braces because of this negative sign outside the braces. These are very important things, you should keep it in mind. Okay, now how b square negative a square and negative b square gives us negative a square. Okay, b square means that positive 1 b square, and negative 1a square means that negative 1a square, and negative b square means that negative 1 b square. B square and b square are like terms, so we will solve b square and b square. Positive b square means positive b positive b square means that positive b square one time, and negative b square means that negative b square one time. They will cancel out each other, so the term b square will finish. And what is left over? Negative 1a square. This is negative 1. You can write 1 here. Negative 1a square. Okay. Now what is happening in this term? In this step. In this step, 2a square, negative 2b square, negative 3. Up till now, all the terms are as it is, no changing. And this square bracket, now a square and negative and braces and negative a square gives us positive a square. Look, this a square is this a square. There is no changing. A square is this a square. Now we have removed the braces in this step. Look at the above step. There is a negative sign outside the braces. So negative sign when multiplied by negative sign gives us a positive sign. Or in other words, because of this negative sign outside the braces, we will change the sign with a square. This negative a square will becomes positive a square. So, or in second explanation is that negative into negative gives us positive a square. Okay, now let's do the next step, move towards the next step. You can see 2a square negative 2a square negative 3. This is as it is. We copied down these three terms from the above step, no changing. And a square gives us 2a square. A square means that positive 1a square, and similarly positive a square means positive 1a square. Positive 1a square means positive sign 1 times, and positive a square means positive sign 2 times. So it gives us 2a square, 2 positive signs, or you can write positive 2a square. Now let's see what's happening in the next step. 2a square is as it is, negative 2b square is as it is. negative 6a square. It means that we solved this negative 3 and positive 2a this square bracket and positive 2a square. We have solved this and it gives us negative 6a square. I will explain you here in the rough work that this square bracket means multiplication. Now negative 3 means negative 3, okay, and this square bracket means multiplication plus 2a square plus 2a square. Okay, I am solving this. Negative 3 square means multiply positive 2a square. Now first of all we have to multiply the sign. Negative sign multiplied by positive sign gives us negative sign. Now we will multiply the coefficients or natural numbers. 2 times 3 times 2 gives us 6 and a square as it is. So this negative 3 square bracket plus 2a square gives us this negative 6a square. Okay, this. Now let's see what's happening in the next step. 2a square as it is, and negative 6a square and negative 2b square. Okay, we have collected the like terms in this step. A square and a square terms are like terms. It's 2a square, it's negative 6a square, both are like terms. Negative 2b square is this, it is unlike term. Okay, that's why I write first I write written 2a square, secondly 6a square, and thirdly negative 2b square. Actually I am writing the like terms with each other. It will let's see what's happening in the next step. 2a square and negative 6a square is giving us negative 4a square. How? Okay, its explanation is that okay, 2a square means that positive 2a square or positive sign 2 times, and negative 6a square means negative sign 6 times. A positive sign will cancel a negative sign. Negative 4 signs are left, so negative 4a square and negative 2b square, negative 2b square. Okay, now what's happening in the last step? In the last step, you can see that negative 2 parenthesis 2a square minus b square. This step is called introduction of parentheses. We have introduced the parentheses in this step. Okay students, I want to tell you here that negative 4a square and negative 2b square are unlike terms. Okay, we cannot add or subtract these two terms because they are unlike. We will introduce parentheses in order to make our calculations, or in order to make our answer, I would say, in order to make our answer more understandable, more meaningful. Okay, how? Now its explanation is that you can see 4 and 2. Okay, can you see 4 and 2? Both are the multiples of 2, right? 4 and 2 both are the multiples of 2. So we will write 2 outside the parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis we will write 2 how many times equals to 2? 2 times equals to 4. So 2 how many times equals to 4? 2 times equals to 4. That's why I have written 2a square. And here I have not written 2 because I had taken the 2 outside. Now 2, I need to know that 2 how many times is equals to 2. 2 1 times is equals to 2. We can say, we can write it 1. Okay, look here. If I write 2 1 times equals to 2 and 2 2 times is equals to 4. What we have done is I have taken 2 outside the parenthesis and it is called taking common. You are doing these two things first time, so you should know that taking 2 outside is called taking common. We will take the 2 outside the parenthesis and inside the parenthesis you can see that it is 4. 4 and 2 how many times is equals to 4? 2 times is equals to 4. So 2 I will write inside the parenthesis and a square as it is written. Now instead of 2b square I will write 1b square. Why? Because I need to know that 2 how many times is equals to 2. 2 1 times is equals to 2. 2 1 times is equals to 2. So b square as it is. Now why I will explain you this positive sign. Why positive sign are inside the parenthesis and why negative sign outside the parenthesis. Both terms has negative sign with each other with them. So I will take the negative sign outside the parenthesis as common factor. Negative sign I am taking outside as common. And when we will introduce the parenthesis, in the above steps, I have told you many times that when we remove the parenthesis, look here, when we remove the parenthesis, here, okay, here, when positive sign is outside, when we will, this is parenthesis, this is positive sign. When positive sign is outside the parenthesis, the negative sign inside the when we remove the parenthesis in the next step the negative sign remains the negative sign. Okay, but in case when there is a negative sign outside a braces, then when we in the next step when we have to remove the braces, this negative sign will be changed into positive sign. Because of this negative sign outside, this negative sign will change into positive sign. Okay, giving this reference, now I will explain you this. When we will take the negative sign outside, the inside the parenthesis signs will we have to change the when we introduce the parenthesis and when there is negative sign outside the parenthesis and when we introduce the parenthesis the signs will change. Now is negative 4a square has negative sign, it will becomes a positive sign. There is no negative sign, it is positive sign. You can write here 2a square means positive 2a square. Okay, similarly this negative b square will be changed into positive b square. Okay, in 2 steps I have given you explanation and I think this explanation is too much. If you can't understand, listen my video again and again so that it, you can it will be um, easier for you and it will be clear to you if you will listen the video again and again. Last time I'm explaining, first I told you why I have taken two common outside and why I have written two here and why I have written one here. Then I explained you why I have taken negative sign outside, why I have changed the sign inside the parenthesis. And I also told you that why I introduced the parenthesis. Okay. Now this step, last step is equals to second last step. If you will see, look, the negative this parenthesis means multiplication. See here, this parenthesis means multiplication. If you multiply the sign with sign, negative into positive gives us negative sign. 2 into 2 gives us 4a square. Okay, this 4a square. And negative sign multiplied by positive sign gives us a negative sign. 2 multiplied by 1 gives us 2b square. So I told you this is equals to this, and this is equals to this. Okay, both are equal. This term is equals to this. The last term is equals to second last step, and second last step is equals to last step.